Good evening, folks, and welcome to another edition of the Bill Crane Report with my friend Duane Weiss by my side, and tonight we have a special guest to start the show off with, Mr. Joe Byron, who has a charity, honorflightnewengland.org up in Hooksett, New Hampshire, has come in to talk to us this morning about the good stuff that he does. So, Joe, lay it on us.
Thank you so much for having me here today.
Our pleasure.
What we do is we transport World War II veterans or terminally ill veterans from any war down to the World War II Memorial into Washington, D.C. to visit and reflect at their memorials at no cost to the veterans.
That must be a pretty emotional trip.
Every trip.
Yeah.
Every trip. Many of our most senior veterans have never talked about it.
And a lot of them were very reluctant to talk about it.
Very reluctant because they're reliving some horrific memories.
Oh, yeah.
And, so they don't talk about it. So what they typically do is when they're gathered with each other, they talk about their experiences because they're with the only people that really understand.
Understand it, sure. Yeah. I had a friend of mine that was a Vietnam era vet. And we used to talk politics, and we'd talk about everything. One day I said to him, "You know what, Bobby?" I said, "I'd be really interested in your thoughts and your reflections on Vietnam. Could we have dinner some night and talk about that?" And he said, "Bill," he said, "you're a good friend." He says, "I really, I enjoy my time with you when we get together." But he said, "I've been trying to forget that for 50 years.
Yep.
That is the last thing I want to remember."
That's exactly right. And it's true. And then for these gentlemen and women, it's 70 years ago.
Yeah.
And the reason that I became involved in this is because of I retired from law enforcement, and I walked in the mall to build a rapport with our seniors because I investigated crimes against our senior population. And a World War II vet, POW, told me his story and still got emotional about telling me about his friend Spags, who was on his machine gun. And he went to fix Spags' machine gun, which had jammed. And when he came back, Spags had been killed on his machine gun.
A very, very similar story. Here, a fellow in Norfolk gave me his father's memoirs. I used to write a newspaper column, and I made a two-part newspaper column out of his dad's memoirs of World War II. His dad was on the end. He was in the end foxhole. I'm sorry, next to the last foxhole, and holding their position. And this was Hurtgen Forest. And he said, there was a kid in the last foxhole. And he said, "Can we swap foxholes?" He said, "This is killing me being out here on the end." So the fellow said, "Sure." So they swapped. Guess what? Shell came in and got the guy. He said if he hadn't swapped, that would have got him. My uncle told the story too, that they're in a big foxhole out in the Pacific, and he had 4 or 5 buddies in it with him. He got up to take a whiz. Shell came in and got all 4 guys.
Oh.
If he hadn't got up to take a whiz, it would have been 5 guys.
And they're reliving that survivor guilt every day, every single day.
Yeah, why not me?
That's right. Yeah. Why not me?
Yeah.
So this is their opportunity to be with each other for the day, to tell their stories, because most of our World War II veterans came home. They threw their duffel bag in the basement or their box of belongings in the basement, went back to work. If they came back late, they never got the reception. And then they went back to work, and one of them equated it to going to the corner store. I came home, got off the train, went back to work.
Yeah.
How'd you come up with the idea of the flight?
Yeah.
That program
Actually,
itself?
it's a nationwide program, but I started the Honor Flight in New England. I got off a flight in Baltimore, and I saw a flight get off, so I called the National, and I said, do you have anyone up in the New England area? And they said, we don't. And, well, which state do you want? And I says, well, if you don't have one in New England, why don't I take that?
Oh.
And they said, well, you know, you're responsible for raising your own funds to get them there. And I said, well, we can make that work, and we've been pretty successful.
Good. That's great. That's great. And how often do these flights? How often do you send folks down there?
Five or six trips a year.
Really? Yeah.
Out of either Manchester or Boston.
Mm-hmm.
And if we take a full flight, it'll take 65 veterans. We'll take the whole plane, the whole Southwest Airline plane, which is 143 passengers.
Mm-hmm.
And then if we take a smaller flight, we'll take 25 veterans with us, and which is 25 veterans and 25 guardians. Each veteran has a guardian with them.
Do you mix those up with the regular paying passengers, or is that?
They are. The guardians are paying passengers, but we do fly. If we fly with 25 vets, we do fly with the commercial passengers.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yep.
Yeah. Now, does the airline give you a break on the price?
They don't. They don't. But I have to tell
Nice
you,
of them.
I have to tell you that the service, the customer service for Southwest Airlines is beyond reproach, and that's why we use them. We may pay a little bit more for the seats, but they're always on top of their customer service.
Wonderful. That's terrific.
So
Southwest General is pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah. They're very efficient.
And do you make all the logistical arrangements
We do.
and the flights
I
and getting
do.
them here, getting them
I
there?
do.
You have a staff?
one part-timer.
Holy cow!
And then much of it is all done by volunteers. Many
okay.
of our volunteers, and our volunteers, we have one person that will make the original call to the
Sure.
veterans, the World War II vets, and get their commitment whether they want to come or whether they don't want to come. And then we assign those veterans. If we're taking a plane of 65 vets, we'll assign 10 vets to one volunteer, and then they'll follow up through the course
Okay,
before we
of course.
travel.
Yep, split it up a little bit.
It's terrific. I've lost my thought. Sorry.
Not a problem at all.
I was thinking of something, but well, this must be a really rewarding position, deal for you. I mean, you must get a lot of satisfaction.
I have
out of
to
this.
tell you, there isn't 1 second of any day of any day that we're ever doing this is ever like work. It's an absolute pleasure to talk to them and to be with them.
Yeah.
And it's a lesson in humility. It's truly a lesson in humility, because what they tell us on every flight is we did what we had to do. The real heroes didn't come home. And so we hear that quite a bit.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, it would never happen today, I don't think. But if you remember Pearl Harbor, the following Monday, there were lines at the enlistment
That's right, there
centers.
was. There was a different sense of patriotism
It
then.
sure
this
was.
day.
And there were some that stayed back and wanted to spend Christmas at home, but those lines reformed in January.
Really?
And you know, they overwhelmed the enlistment centers.
Look how many 15 and 16-year-olds tried
Oh,
to
yeah.
tried to
Right.
pass themselves off as
And
age.
some of them got in,
Yep.
too.
They did.
Yeah.
I have to tell you, Mr. Murphy from Massachusetts, our youngest vet that we've ever transported, went in when he was 14 and a half.
Really?
And he said he went to the town hall, got his birth certificate, needed to change it, went to school and asked the teacher, I need to change some ink on a document. And she goes, oh, no problem. And his quote was, she gave me ink eradicator, which I didn't know what it was. And so I
solve it.
instantly became 18, and I enlisted. And he says I was going down either Route 2 or Route 9 down here. He says I get stopped by at state police, and I'm with a couple of buddies, and we're in uniform. And he says, trooper says, where are you guys going? I said, we're just going down the street for breakfast. He says, well, haven't you heard? And he says, haven't I heard what? He goes, Pearl Harbor just got bombed. Report to your duty stations. And if you can imagine 14 and a half years old and going in and doing the duty and coming home and living a great life.
Yeah.
And never, if I've taken anything away from this, is I've never, ever heard one complain, ever. It's amazing.
Yeah, they they may complain a little bit about the food they got over there, or the fact that they're always cold.
Right.
I had a good friend of mine that had been over there in. He fought at the Battle of the Bulge, and I said, "How did you handle it, Teddy?" He says, "Well," he says, "you were cold, and you were tired."
Yep.
All the time. And finally, you just said to yourself, "Oh, the hell with it."
Wow.
He says, "I'm just going to do what I have to do." And he says, "That's how you get through it, you know?" He said, it was tough.
I bet it was.
He said, we saw Patton one time. He'd come by and, guys are doing a great job, blah, 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 and kept right on going, you know. And I said that to him. I said, "Old blood and guts."
Yep.
He says, "Yeah, his guts are our
Or blood.
blood."
That was a famous quote.
And back then, it wasn't unusual for them to get injured and get patched up and go back on
You're
the
right
line.
up back to the line.
Right
Oh,
back
yeah.
to
Oh,
the
yeah.
line.
Yeah.
You went right back to the
I-
line.
And you talk to a lot of guys, and they said, "I want to go back to my outfit."
Yep.
No, I don't want to ship back to the States. Patch me up here.
That's exactly
I
what
want to go
happens.
back to my friends.
Yep. That's
Yeah.
exactly what
There was a camaraderie that we can't understand. I don't
No,
think unless
we don't.
unless you've been.
We've moved
in-
on from that.
Yeah.
It changed.
Yeah. I've just one other quick one, but I have a friend of mine from Florida, Israel Jacobs, and he was talking about re-upping. I was in Germany in '63 to '65, and he said, "I'm going to re-up and volunteer for NAM." And I said, "Really, Jake?" He says, "Yeah." He says, "I got to do my part."
He had to re-up.
He was going to re-up and request Vietnam, because they said he was a short timer, and they said you can't volunteer for NAM. You're too short, time-wise.
Yep.
And so he said, "I'm going to sign up for the 6 and volunteer for NAM." He says, "I'm going to go." And he said, I've got to do my part. I can hear Jake saying that to me today.
Did he?
Yeah.
Did he sign up?
Yeah. He signed up. He shipped out I'd say about 3 weeks after that. I checked the monument down there, and Jake made it through.
Nice. Very nice.
My motor lieutenant didn't, but he volunteered to go over there too. Motor pool officer. He didn't make it. God rest his soul.
Well, we've had a few of them that went World War II, Korea, Vietnam.
Oh yeah.
Can you imagine?
Yeah, I can. Yeah. It's really, that's really something.
It is something.
Yeah.
They're all something. They're a blessing every day. Blessing every day.
So what can we do to help you, Joe?
Well, we want to put the word out. We want to put the word out to the community. If you have any World War II veterans, to get them on our list. And how we work is we have them submit an application, and we select our honorees by date stamping their application when it comes in, because they're all up there in age. The average age is 90.
Yep.
And unless they're terminally ill, we'll move them right up to the top of the list, and then we'll try to get them out on the next flight.
Good.
And so if there's any World War II veterans in the community that want to come along.
Well, I know I belong to the American Legion here at 335, and we have some. We have a very small post, so it's not like some of these people have hundreds. We have
And we're accepting
30
applications.
maybe, if tops.
Yeah, we're also accepting applications for the Korean vets. We haven't started flying them yet. Or terminally ill vets from any war. And
Yeah.
we just 2 days, we flew out of Portland twice, Portland, Maine, and a few days before we left, I got a call from the son of a Vietnam vet who said, "I heard you like Make-A-Wish for the military." And I said, "How can I help you?" And he goes, "My dad's terminally ill and a Vietnam veteran, and they'd like to go see the wall." And I said, so we had a few days left before we were going, and I called the airlines. I said, "Can we get a couple more on?" And they said yes, and we got them on. But it wasn't for him. His brother was killed in Vietnam, and he never went to the wall, and he wanted closure.
Sure. Sure.
So we got him down to the wall, and we had him etch the name, and he died 37 days later. So it's
Yeah.
it's an incredible blessing for us to do this. Or if you have anybody that may want to, we live on donations.
I was just going to get to that. What else can we do to help you financially?
If we live on donations, we're not government funded, so anybody that watches that may have a World War II vet or a corporate sponsorship, or will give us a call.
I just feel this is the right thing to do.
That's exactly right.
How can they contact you?
They can give us a call at 603-518-5368, or they can go onto our website at honorflightnewengland.org, and New England is spelled out, or they can send us an email at honorflightnewengland@gmail.com.
Great. We'll put that information up
We appreciate it.
during the show, and we'll put it up after the show.
Thank you.
Joe, this has been a pleasure having you.
It was great to be
Any
here.
last thoughts before you bail on us? Or?
I just want to say thank you to our World War II vets and any veteran that served, and thank you for your service, and God bless you all.
You can feel free to sit with us too if you want.
Yeah.
Take part.
I do have a
Okay.
meeting to
Yeah,
get
we
out
understand.
to, if you don't mind, if that's okay with you.
It's all right.
Very good.
Thanks
Joe?
for having me here.
Hey,
Thank you.
thank you very
Thank
much
you
for
so
coming
much.
in.
Nice meeting you.
Thank you
Hope we
so
can help you somehow.
Thank you.
Well, that was a fine interview.
It was. I mean,
Very, very well.
you have to admire a man like that.
You gotta tip your hat to him. I mean,
he puts a lot of work and a lot of time in that thing.
Yeah, he's doing a lot of great work, and I know I'll give him a call and send him a donation myself.
Yep, I will too.
So, back into the show.
Good.
I had some thoughts about a couple of things, but I got overwhelmed with the amount of stupidity that I found in the last couple of weeks here to comment on. But
There's no. I said there's no end.
yep. Oh yeah, and I got some stuff for our next show about corruption in Boston.
Oh,
some
my
of the
favorite
stuff that's
subject.
been in. Oh, I'm saving it. I got it all together. Thoughts on Father's Day. Reflections on Father's Day. So I got thinking about my father. Went down and visited his grave and planted some flowers. And, I'm not sure that any of us really stop and think about the important role your father played in your life.
No.
He went to work. He came home. He brought the food, gave you a house to live in.
Yep.
Worked hard, and I think we all do, but sacrificed for the kids.
Mm-hmm.
I know that I think about my dad, because my dad and my mother were divorced. I was fairly young.
Mm-hmm.
My grandfather became the father figure,
Father figure.
Billy Sullivan.
You live in the house with it?
No, 2 houses away.
Well, that's
Yeah. And the impact that those two guys had on me, they both taught me right and wrong,
Yep.
honesty, hard work. Those are the things that last a lifetime.
But fatherhood today is under siege.
It is.
Media. Oh my God. They just like portray that they're just unnecessary.
Yeah. Well, in the Hollywood stars.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, I'm 45. My bionics are raging, or whatever the heck they are. I've got to have a child, and I'll do a wonderful job. I'll be the most wonderful mother in the world. Okay. So somehow or other, we don't need the details on how she becomes in a motherly way, but then she delivers a child, hands it to the nanny, and says, I have to go to a health spa now and get back down to 112 pounds.
That's right.
And hopefully I'll touch base with you on his birthday.
Yep.
Yeah, because I got two movies I have to star in
And we've
next.
seen the result the past
Of course we
months
have.
of what fatherless homes lead to.
Yeah. Yeah, and when we talked about the minority community on the last show, really, growing up fatherless has got to be a horrible thing. Who takes you fishing?
That's right.
Who takes you hunting? Who teaches you how to play baseball or football?
Yeah, that's a father thing.
Yeah. And who is there to help you with your homework
Right.
and work with you and instill the proper values so that you grow up with a fighting chance of being a decent person? I think Father's Day is underrated. I'm sorry. Yeah,
You're right. It really is.
Yeah.
And watch too. Even in the commercials, if there's a husband and a wife in the family and kids, the father's always portrayed as a dope. He's a dummy. He's a stumbler. He doesn't quite get it. Constantly, over and over and over.
Yeah. Fathers are underappreciated. There's no doubt about it. And just put the harness on, you mule, and go to work. Come back with your pay, and then do this, do that, and he does it wrong, and everybody laughs at him, and portrayed as sort of, you can't win.
No.
And then if you speak out, you're a sexist pig.
Absolutely. You can't say anything.
No, you can't.
We can say, you and I can say it because we don't care.
No. That ship has sailed.
Yeah, that ship sailed.
That PC ship.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have some real foreboding about this upcoming election.
I do too. Although, on the other hand, I think it's going to be very interesting.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I'll tell you where.
What will happen if you and I say it's time we elected a man?
Oh my God!
It's so and so's turn.
Yeah, it's so and so's turn.
They'll be coming in the doors with shotguns.
Yep.
You and I'll be a statistic.
Yep.
But it's Hillary's turn.
Yep. I don't know how they figure that, but it's her turn.
Yeah. And I'll tell you what, is she getting a free trip with the press?
Oh my God! Even today, some of the emails didn't show up from the State Department. The bloke kind of gave her a bye. Well, it's no big deal.
Yeah, it was
We're down to
an
bottom.
article about that big,
oh,
yeah.
well.
And how about the emails that all got erased, lowest learners
Yeah.
at the IRS?
Yes.
Yeah, well, it looks like a couple of dopes.
Yeah, maybe an intern or something pressed the wrong button.
Oh yeah, two of them.
Yeah, two of them.
Yeah, they shouldn't have done that. We told them not to do that, but I guess they misunderstood. Now, on a scale of 1 to 10, what do you suppose the truth factor is there? Did they misunderstand?
Bill, I hate to say it, but you can tell Hillary's lying when her lips are moving. I just can't. I don't trust her.
But here's the thing. Her lips don't move that often.
No.
She won't talk to the people.
Well, of course not.
She's going
She's
to
got-
try to win this election with a couple of speeches and blinking her eyes at George Stephanopoulos when he tosses a couple of softballs at her in an interview. Boy, I'll tell you what, she won't be on Fox News talking to Bill O'Reilly.
No, she just won't do it.
And by the way, that was a very hard-hitting speech she made the other day, kicking off her campaign.
Wasn't that something?
Yep. More and younger child care. That is what. Well,
So
now
important.
there's a. I'm not denying that isn't a desirable goal, but that is hardly going to be the cornerstone of your campaign.
No, it's
Maybe it is, though. My God, what we've come to. But
well, it's safe. She's got so much baggage that she has to stick with the safe points.
how many firewalls has she built in front
a
of
lot
her,
of them.
though? Oh,
Yeah.
man. But by the way, I give her courage, give her points for courage for coming out with that hard-hitting stance compared to Lincoln Chafee.
Oh, Devers.
Did you see when he came out, the first thing he said? Yeah. We've got to get this country on the metric system.
Yeah, oh yeah.
That's it. Never mind ISIS. Never mind Russia. Never mind the problems with China. Never mind the economy. Never mind jobs.
Half the people in the country said metric system. Isn't that the transit system down in D.C.?
Oh, God help us.
But you know what's going to be fun? Donald Trump.
Oh, yeah.
He's going to be fun to watch. Number one, he's got, what, $8 billion or something? He doesn't need money. He's not beholden to anybody. He's got a big mouth and he doesn't care what he says.
Yeah, the only thing is...
I don't see him as a serious candidate. I
No.
think he's going to be a fun candidate.
We got 18 candidates now in the Republican Party. Hillary Clinton has got to be sitting back, laughing her butt off. Look at these clowns lined up.
Yeah, tripping over each other.
And do you know what? The Republicans are not just stupid with a capital S. They are incredibly stupid because they are spending more time fighting with each other.
That's right.
The differences we should be discussing is between the Conservative Party and the Radical Party. Those are the differences we should be discussing, not, well, now, in his state, he raised taxes, and, this guy, do you know what he said? And what did Ronald Reagan say? Don't ever speak ill of a fellow Republican.
Yep.
And these 18 clowns are lined up.
The last election, one of the heads of the Democratic Party warned them about doing that same thing, that inner fighting amongst themselves in the preliminaries. He said, the opposition's going to use this against you.
Absolutely.
You're going to take this point. You said this and this and this and this.
You're going to see those sound bites over and over and over being used against you. Sure. You know, the Democrats are so much smarter than the Republicans because
tactically they seem to be.
Yeah.
Yep.
They realize that, look, we cannot be at war with each other and be divisive and still expect to win. Mm-hmm. Let's swallow our pride and say, yeah, well, you know what, that isn't exactly what I want. I don't think it's what my constituents want. But if it's what the party wants, the goal is to win. Afterwards, we'll sit down and we'll sort it out. Instead, the Republicans get the knives out and try to slash each other's throats.
Right out of the chute.
Yeah, and well, I have one other thing I wanted to talk to you about. How many flights, air safety is what I want to talk about. I ran across some statistics that are just too good. How many flights a day are there? Commercial flights in the U.S.?
Oh, my God. You want me to guess?
Sure.
20,000.
102,465.
I was way off.
Yeah. On an annual basis.
I guess that makes sense. I was thinking about, one airport alone's got 600-700.
On an annual basis, 37.4 million commercial flights a year. Now, when is the last time a major plane went down with deaths? Now we had.
We're being from a scheduled airline, not a
commercial airline,
not a commuter. That we had.
The commuters, the 10-passenger jobs. They're
the
ones.
The last one, it wasn't in this country. It was the German Air. Or German
sure.
Something. Yeah.
And the Russians always have got a couple of crashes and all that.
They've put together with tape and baling wire.
Yeah, God.
But that German one, you couldn't count that either. That was a suicide.
Exactly.
Yep.
And also Air France.
Yeah.
But
I don't know. Just on an accident alone. Uncontrollable
When
accident.
is the last time we saw headlines
That's a
in
good
the U.S. that said 106 killed
Yeah.
at San Francisco airport. And God help us. I'm not. Let's hope that we're
That might
not
have
twisting fate
that
here.
might have been the last one that I can remember.
Well,
The one that came in short or something.
yeah, but only about 4 people
Yeah,
were
it
killed
wasn't-
in
it
that.
wasn't- it wasn't massive,
Yeah, only about 4 for the 4 families. It was terrible, and I think didn't one go off in the edge of a runway or something, and someone died, or well, anyway. When you think about the number of planes taking
Yeah.
off and landing every day at Chicago or Atlanta or Houston, our air control
Phenomenal.
system is amazing.
And then it's done with old, antiquated equipment.
It is. And they have dumbed down the test for air traffic controllers.
Yep.
We didn't have the right mix of people in there. Not, let's get the best qualified, the ones that are going to be able to do the best job, the best and the brightest. It's got to reflect the composition of the U.S. Well, anyway, it is a tremendous system.
It is. At one point, they were using computers with tubes yet.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they finally got rid of them. I saw them, this was several years ago. If a part would break, the only place they could find these parts was Poland.
Oh, you'd really want to get used parts from Poland.
Well, they didn't exist anymore.
God help us.
And even now, we still use the route system. The airline, pilot takes from point A to point B, then he makes a vector change, and point B to send, makes another vector change. So he's going like this all over the place. And today with the GPSs, your car doesn't do that anymore. The GPS will send you right there.
Yeah, and they do that just to make sure that, because they got to assign them all different heights and all of that. It's amazing it works, but it works.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, and the maintenance people, and the maintenance programs, and the quality of the planes is really, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing. Do you know your odds of dying with a cardiovascular event are 1 in 2?
Yeah, I
Heart
think
disease is
that's
number
possible
one.
because the longer you live, the higher your probability is going to go up that something's going to get you like that.
Your odds of dying in a car trip are 1 in 14,000.
Okay,
That
that's
seems-
even higher than I thought it would be.
On a
No,
bike,
I thought it would
lower,
be
yeah.
lower. I thought it'd be much more.
Your odds of dying on a bicycle are 1 in 88,000. That's a miracle. And I see some of the jackasses that are riding.
it's a lot higher for me now.
bicycles. Boy,
I don't ride a bicycle anymore.
Your odds of dying in a tornado, 1 in 450,000.
Yep.
On a train, 1 in 1 million.
Yep.
Getting hit by lightning, 1 in 1.9 million. Dying of a bee sting, 1 in 5.5 million. Dying on a U.S. commercial jet airline, 1 in 7 million.
Yeah, just what we talked about.
That is amazing.
When you think you could put somebody in a tube, throw them across the sky at 500 miles an hour, and still get them there safely.
I would be willing to bet you anything that not one person in 100 knows how thin the skin is on an airplane.
Oh, it's very thin.
It's like tinfoil.
They were my accounts.
Yeah.
I called on those old people. I watched these things being built.
Yeah. Unbelievable. And they go up there with these electronics that would boggle your mind.
Yep.
It's amazing, absolutely. And they get there more or less on time.
Yeah.
Ah, jeepers. And that, by the way, all those numbers are from the Bureau of Safety Statistics, the National
You know what?
Transportation Safety Board.
Getting there on time. Sometimes it's not this for the plane and the airline system and stuff. It's the human element that gets them late going.
Yeah, it is.
People getting loaded and they take so
yeah.
long with their
Yeah.
luggage overhead.
Yeah.
You know, Delta, this past trip, a 3 or 4 weeks ago, we took a Delta trip. They have started a new system in some of the airports. They did it in Minneapolis. They did it in Boston. When you're in the gate area waiting, a Delta man will come along and say, "Can I take your carry-on and put it in the plane for you?" You give him your boarding pass. He takes it. He puts it in the overhead right over your seat. That way, when everybody's getting on, they're not all fighting and trying to get that stuff in the overhead. It's already there. Or you just get in and sit down.
How about this, too, that used to drive me nuts?
And they won't take a tip either.
You get on the plane, you're sitting there waiting to go on. When I flew for first class, which was what I did just about all the time because I had so many miles, it wasn't bad. But back in the old days of coach, they call them by rows.
Yep.
And as they move to the front of the plane, then you get on with a small bag or something. Open up the thing. You can't do it. There's 2 huge suitcases right above you.
Yep.
And the guy is about 7 rows behind you.
They just tried to cut down the size,
Yeah.
and then they bloated that down.
Man alive. Anyway, I used to check all my bags. I
always did too.
my little briefcase with me. And I got rid of the hard-sided briefcase. I went to the soft-sided computer
I have a little
bag.
duffel bag about this big.
Yeah.
I use that for a carry-on. I throw in an extra pair of socks, an extra shirt, and what I might need that night. And if I need be, if the racks are full, I just stick it by my feet.
Yeah. I bring on board anything I wanted to read,
Yeah.
or in different stuff I want to make notes about or something like that. Well, anyway, we've killed that subject. I do want to show you a couple of, I've got so many things here that are stupid. How about this? I love this. You get stuff in the mail and it's just great. And here we are, folks. Citibank wants me to become a premier card holder.
Ooh.
Look at that, huh? The silver standard.
Yes.
Now, down here, as you can see circled here, it says security word, 10 characters or less. How many blocks do you suppose they gave you?
It looks about 7.
9.
9.
9.
Yeah.
10 blocks or less, and they give you 9 blocks to write in.
You certainly couldn't utilize all your 10 digits.
Who do you suppose was the super brain that came up with that?
I don't know.
We don't practice capital punishment in this country anywhere near enough. But whoever did this, really,
Yeah.
you ought to throw them in the chamber and pull the switch because they're just about as close to useless as you can possibly get.
It's amazing how much stuff like that's out there.
Oh, yeah. Unbelievable. And this is a major bank that's handling my
it's
money.
awesome.
Yeah, doesn't that make you feel good? Here's a letter to the editor in the Herald.
Oh, I don't get the Herald. I just get the Globe. Or even the local paper from Attleboro.
This is a fellow by the name of Robert Sweeney in Warwick, Rhode Island, wrote this in. And I can't believe he wrote it, and sent it in. I'm sure, giving Mr. Sweeney the benefit of the doubt, that someone has used his name to write this, because he couldn't have written this.
Oh, you're very generous.
Well, he's writing about the fact that we got to look at safety in churches because of the shooter down in Charleston.
There's been several on the Globe like that, too.
Now, of course, all should be informed, meaning everyone that attends the church, of secondary exits and the safe paths of egress. Other than cell phone reporting, which may take precious seconds, there needs to be a means to activate a panic alarm to the local police or fire department when an existing serious hazard incident is in progress other than smoke or fire. So now he's sort of saying we got to have a panic button alongside the smoke and fire button because precious seconds are wasted on the cell phone. But if you call 911 on the cell phone, you can describe exactly what the problem is. They know who to send, whether it's the fire or police, and I would suggest to you it's a hell of a lot quicker.
Yeah. In the situation where he's describing, it doesn't matter. You're not going to beat a bullet anyway.
Now, he goes on.
Well, I'm sure he does.
Recently, we have had fatal gun attacks by deviant perpetrators inside buildings at a church, a theater, and a mall. Metal detectors may be one means to eliminate firearms from entering a large gathering, but that is costly. Another is to have armed security personnel in attendance, but again, that too can be expensive. No idea on what to do, but he can regurgitate the bleeding obvious.
Anybody could come up with those two.
I mean, give me... and a tree died to publish this letter.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. And, I've written letters to the editor and have them come back, Bill, this is
Oh, yeah.
a little too strong. We can't do this. But yet, they publish Pablum.
Sure they do. And
I guess they probably needed a letter about that size to fill a space on the page.
look at the Globe. They'll go on pontificating about global warmth and the destruction of our forest and everything else. And come a holiday, they put out a 20-pound paper full of ads. That which you get them, you threw out 19.9 of them anyway.
100% at my house.
Yep.
Bingo, right in the
Well,
basket.
she saves the Walgreens and CVS, I think.
Oh, all right. Yeah, my wife looks at, I shouldn't say they all go. She looks at the Christmas tree shop. And,
Yeah, that one hangs around once in a while.
yeah. Oh, Ocean State Job Lot.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah. But anyway, the rest, not if I get the package first, they all go. But
I don't bring them in. I call them out in the garage, right in the can.
How about this? Ex-CIA officer sentenced for leaks. Alexandria, Virginia, a former CIA officer has been sentenced to 3.5 years in prison for leaking details of a secret mission to thwart Iran's nuclear ambitions. 3.5 years.
That's treason.
It is treason.
Absolutely.
And that's why firing squads were invented.
There was a time in our history that would put you in a firing squad.
Better believe it.
Yep.
3.5 years against an enemy that has sworn to kill us.
Yep. Exactly. It's
And
nuts.
And this moron helps him.
Absolute nuts today.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. And a classified plan to trick the Iranian government by slipping flawed nuclear blueprints through a Russian intermediary. And he blows the whistle on it.
Yep. That could have set that nuclear program back 10 years.
Who knows how far, but certainly would have harmed it. And this moron, 3.5 years. 3.5 years. Here's another couple good ones. You'll like this one. A former Pittsfield city councilor, I love the local politicians. They're always right on the up and up.
Oh, yeah.
Was sentenced to 2 years probation
At least you got 2 years.
for tipping off a drug dealer about a police raid.
Figured that one was going.
Can you imagine that this guy was also ordered to avoid drugs after pleading guilty to be an accessory after the fact in distribution of oxycodone and conspiracy to violate drug laws. Prosecutors said that Capitanio was purchasing up to 10 oxy tablets a day from a drug dealer while he was on the council. Now, some of my suspicions really now are coming into focus here. The dealer was caught on tape telling another dealer that a councilman friend had tipped him off.
And he threw him under the bus, too.
2 years probation. I don't know. Why did he get any probation at all? He's sick. He's suffering from a disease.
Well, of course he is. No end, Bill.
I got another good one you'll like.
Go ahead. I got a couple here too.
Good. Police have released the name of the 25-year-old woman stabbed to death in Springfield this week. Police say Monique Van Zant was stabbed multiple times at a home on Franklin Street. She was pronounced dead at the scene. Now, interrupt me if you've heard this song before.
Go ahead.
Her boyfriend, Van Dorsey Jr., has pleaded not guilty
Yep.
to murder and other charges and being held without bail pending a competency hearing. A court psychiatrist, and we know they're always on the up and up,
Absolutely.
Testified.
They've always got their finger right on the pulse of the problem, too.
testified Dorsey, 27, was high on PCP the night of the killing and was a regular drug user. It was later revealed Dorsey has a history of domestic violence. Well,
Oh, boy.
I'll tell you, obviously he has a disease. You got to let him skate too, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think we're going overboard on this business about people with addiction automatically being
Given a pass
called.
or by.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree there.
If someone is a passive drug user, they're buying the drugs, that they're on their own.
Yep.
But when afterwards they commit crimes while they're doing the drugs or breaking into homes to get money to buy the drugs,
No, you
they are criminals.
Yeah, you've crossed the line then.
You got one. Lay it on me.
Union blasts exams for ride operators. We just got done talking how safe it is to fly on an airplane. Aren't you glad that the local Teamsters 25 doesn't run the Pilots Association? They're complaining because, get this, they want to give them physical exams now.
What?
Oh, my God. They fired 20 MBTA employees after the physical. They couldn't see. And they're driving the buses and the trains, and they got other physical impairments.
You have to be able to see that.
But the union says you can't touch the employees that are already there. You can maybe look at the new ones, but none of the old ones.
You know what I get a big kick out of too? Is when something obvious like this is presented to the union, their first remark is, this has got to be bargained.
Oh, yeah.
We've got to go to
Absolutely.
the bargaining table and bargain this out.
Yep.
All right? So for a 45 or 50 cent raise for all of our workers, we'll agree that those 20
And they
people
said
have
that
to
if
go.
he insists on this, they could be vulnerable for discrimination charges. Yeah. Here's a guy getting into going to drive your city bus for you. Where's the dog?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, you've got into my tractor trailer by mistake here, pal. This isn't your bus. Oh, God help us. That's unbelievable.
It is, isn't it?
Got another one?
Yeah.
Let's have it.
I was afraid. Oh, I got this one here. Yes, we got it. This is, you can't make this stuff up.
Oh, I love this stuff.
China tries to ban strippers at funerals.
What?
Yeah. Chinese officials are launching a campaign to crack down on strippers and other lewd shows that become popular at funerals. It seems that in China, nobody wants to go to funerals anymore. So they're hiring strippers to draw in crowds to go to the damn funeral.
And to cheer up the mourners.
I
Obviously,
guess.
it's a positive thing. Oh, good Lord.
See, you can't make this up.
You can't. I love this one. This is, and I showed you this before the show, President Obama, a stern man, someone you can believe in,
Oh, yeah.
has pledged America's ironclad commitment on security to anxious Persian Gulf nations yesterday, mentioning the potential use of military force and assuring them a potential nuclear deal with Iran would not leave them more vulnerable. Obama said the U.S. would join the Gulf Cooperation Council, nations to deter and confront an external threat to any GCC state's territorial integrity. We're getting to the real good part. The U.S. pledged to bolster its security cooperation with the Gulf on counterterrorism, maritime security, cybersecurity, ballistic missile defense. Let me underscore, President Obama said, the U.S. keeps our commitments. Now, up here, the instant replay board is showing if you like your health plan, you can keep your health plan.
That's right.
Yeah. Or how about his red line that he drew in the sand with Syria?
Oh, yeah. Boy.
Or the one in Libya that he drew in the sand? Yes, indeed. How about the reset with Russia, too?
Oh,
Yeah.
we were just on such great terms with the rest of the world. I mean,
So who in their right mind would believe this man?
I don't know.
Unbelievable. And he stands up and says that. I must be losing my mind.
Oh, there was one follow-up on this.
Oh, go ahead.
Do you know what the objection, the official objection in China was?
No.
The strippers at the funerals are cutting down on the business at their local strip shows.
People are going to funerals
That's
instead. You can't make this
I
stuff
know you
up.
can't.
You cannot make this stuff up.
Here's something that I was worried about, and it's showing up already. We have a tendency to go overboard with whatever it is, a mania. The press gets a hold of it, they just drive it into crazy. It
You
says
think?
Confederate symbols easy to find in nation's capital. Now we got some idiots that want to go through the Senate and the House and take down portraits.
Oh, John C. Calhoun.
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
yeah.
Jefferson Davis, like you want to strip him out of history.
Wasn't part of our history.
Well, these old
Wouldn't deny it.
these old dictators used to do that. They would take over a country, they'd go back and they'd take the textbook and they'd eliminate.
How many times did the Russians rename cities over
rename
there?
cities
Yeah.
and purge all the historical records. That's what these guys are doing or want to do, but they don't see it that way.
ISIS is destroying
Same thing,
buildings
yep.
and remnants of precious artifacts and all. Now, that's a great idea, great plan.
Confederacy was part of our history, like it or not.
Like it or not.
It is what Belichick, it is what it is.
I can understand. If I were black, I could understand seeing the flag wave over my state capital.
Perhaps there, yes.
And I can see that would offend me. More than offend me, probably. But you cannot throw the baby out with the bathwater.
That's what these people are trying to want to do.
Exactly. And I'll tell you what the next thing's going to be. It's going to be politically incorrect to wear a Confederate T-shirt.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, nobody's even going to sell them anymore.
No, they stopped selling Confederate flags. Some flag manufacturer withdrew those for some sale. So,
But at what point do they start going to the history books?
yeah.
And start deleting?
Well, we don't teach history anymore. Right
true.
now, we have liberals sort of saying, well, we got to forget about history and let's talk about the way it should be.
Mm-hmm.
Let's lay plans for how we're going to change things.
There's an element in Japan that wants to rewrite the World War II history.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Look, our history is our history.
Yep.
As ugly as it is,
That's right.
it's our history.
Good or bad, it's what it is.
We cannot learn from our mistakes. We are absolutely bound to repeat them again. I mean, by the way, has anybody ever talked about the Indians and what we did to them recently? Or I know that's very, very incorrect of me to refer to them as Indians.
Yes, I cringed when you did that.
Yes, I saw you over there. But
I just took care of this Monday and Tuesday down at Foxwoods.
yeah, wiped them out.
No, I benefited them.
Yeah. I mean, it's, so many things have happened. By the way, have we really talked about the internment of the Japanese Americans during World War II?
Yep.
I mean,
internment
that
camps.
was a pretty low below. When you stop and look at some of the things we did, I don't think we did it to be bad and oppressive people. We were panicked. The Yellow Peril. Oh God, I'll get.
Oh, they knew they were just scared to death. That was
Yes, they were. And it was funny too because it wasn't so much the Germans, because we had a large German population here, and Germans were Caucasians like us.
Germans didn't have the same paranoia that the
That's
Japanese
right.
did.
But the Japanese were crafty, sneaky devils and all of that. So we have to lock them up under lock and key. Folks, like it or not, that's how we felt at the time.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, I'm not making this stuff up.
You take early December '41. This paranoia was really strong.
You better believe it was. Absolutely. By the way, you cannot make this stuff up. Boston is financially strapped and can't afford first night.
Oh, yep.
And a professional event company has been chosen to run it this year. But these are the same bunch that think they can pull the 2024 Olympics off and spend billions of dollars.
Did you see the projection that a professor put in this week in the Globe? What the overrides really are going to be?
Yeah.
Instead of he's having 20 and 30 billion could cost them.
Well, gee, look what happened over in London.
Pick a city. It doesn't matter.
I mean, they're unbelievable. Unbelievable. By the way, I just got a couple more things I got to get in here. The state of New Mexico has a law on the books forbidding voting by idiots and insane people.
You gotta love it.
How would that work here in Massachusetts?
Well, there'd be about 100 people voting.
Yeah, I think we can safely eliminate 80% of the registered voters if those were the criteria. Oh, God, I love it. Let's see. By the by, sir, what is with the cover-up about the test of TSA at the airport, where undercover
that's right.
Secret Service folks or whatever went through the TSA
We were
people.
gone then. I saw that in the news in the Midwest.
With guns, with plastique explosives, and they missed 67 of the 70.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Unbelievable.
That whole crew should be looking for a new job.
Now, that was on TV, and it was on Fox News.
And then it died.
But it is, and I bought and went to the library, the Globe, the Herald, the Wall Street Journal, the Attleboro Sun Chronicle. Not one newspaper had one word written about that.
It's incredible.
It's as though the event never happened.
Yep.
And is there a bigger story for us to reflect upon than the idiots that they hire for TSA?
Mm-hmm.
Then again, when you bring them in off the street and pay them $11 an hour.
And make them work split shift, too.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
My brother Tommy always used to say to me when we bet on a horse at the racetrack that ran last, he said, you scrape the hide off that beauty and you're going to find bacon. Real pig.
Yep.
No. I know the answer to this. They had all those jobs they had to fill. They have a small budget in relation to what it should be to hire really good people.
That's right.
Because that's who you want working in a job like that. You really want somebody carrying plastic explosives on the plane? Golly.
Well, the TSA are just the holdovers from the old ones when they used to sit at the screen while your bag went by sleeping, heads bobbing.
Yeah. Unbelievable. By the way, political columnist and commentator Ed Klein, I can't get to everything he said, but he claims that President Obama, listens only to Valerie Barrett, his advisor, and Michelle Obama. that they join him in the White House at night and they go over everything that happened.
That might explain a
Those
lot.
are the only two voices he listens to.
That's
By the
sad.
way, this Valerie Barrett is some latter-day Rasputin, I guess.
Yep.
She has got his ear totally and completely, and she's a complete mystery woman. That shows you how much I know. Well, listen, folks, we've got the signal. It is tragic as it is.
Yes, it is.
It's time to close down shop for another week or two. But I tell you, we got an awful lot to talk about. We're just scratching the surface. So we'll come back at you
Send us your emails.
in a fortnight or so, and we'll be all over it. And back. Oh, by the way, I got a stack of stuff at home too about corruption in Boston among
got
our
some here, too.
politicians. Yeah, I was telling Duane. That's Duane's favorite subject, by the way.
It's one of my pet peeves here.
Yep. So we'll get to that and some other good stuff.
Yep.
All right. So good night, good health.
Enjoy the summer.
Go Red Sox.